All right, and we're about to be live.
Yeah, I was going to say. Oh, all right, people. Welcome back. Says we are live, so thank you for joining us in the Counselor's Corner. I am sitting in as your co-host, Herbert Lewis, and we have Saria with us joining. David has taken a sabbatical. Shall return next.
Hello, everybody. Oh, he's in the comments. He's still here. They just won't get the luxury of seeing his handsome face. He's having a moment right now. So he might explain that to y'all later. I don't want to put my boy out like that. I'm just saying. I ain't gonna do it to him.
All right, tonight, so we are going to deal with our 6 essential talking points. One of them being the truth. Do we really value it? Jada and Will, what should we take from them? 21st century dating, how, to, and why. And then we have another 3. Sit back, observe, listen to others, and you will find out all you need to know. And change. Change is something we live with. What indicators do you come up with in your personal life that that force you to make changes? And the last one is taking risks every day. Take risks every day and stop holding in information that's valuable to others. So, Ria, I'm going to let you pick one of those so you can start this shindig and we can get this puppy rolling.
I mean, we could just dive right into Will and Jada. People, got a whole lot to say about that relationship. You know, Everybody wants to weigh in, and Will and Jada been going strong for a really long time. And I remember, when the rumors first started circulating, like over 20 years ago, about they have an open marriage and all of this stuff. And I remember then people, well, I bet it ain't gonna last. I bet it ain't gonna, and here we are 20 some odd years later, and it has lasted. Now, you know, we have an inside look into exactly why it's lasted, and what goes in to making a relationship last. So for me, what I would get out of it is, you know, we they take the fantasy away from that, until death do us part. You know what I'm saying? They're in the grid of it. Like, this is what it's really like. This is what till death do us part really looks like when you make that commitment to death do us part. You're going to go through some ups and downs, and it takes work, it takes forgiveness, takes all kind of stuff, because it's dirt on both sides. And I'm glad that they're, brave enough to be open with the information to the public, because like the public is fickle and brutal, yo. Like, they fickle and brutal. But I think that people can take away uh some tips on, having some freaking stick to itiveness. A lot of people, they not deaf to us part. Till death do us part. Until you piss me off. Like, you know. So that's what I think. What do you think? Like, where do you stand with Will and Jada?
No, actually, I do agree with the points that you put forth, and I'll add to those points. I think when we look at marriage, particularly in the Black community, is just as you said, people are not looking to stick to it. People have an opinion or some type of false belief that marriage is something that you just do and it happens. Most people aren't
Yeah,
privy to the
right.
behind the scenes work that's required to keep a relationship together. And I think Jada and Will actually put that out there for us to see and to understand that in a marriage, everything isn't rosy. Everything is not going to be hunky
But
dory. And
we shouldn't
sometimes,
even expect
in
it to
order
be.
to
Why do we
make
even
something
expect it to be,
last,
though? Like, why do we even
say
expect
that
it to
again,
be,
Sarah, you
though?
broke up.
Like, I'm sorry. I just got excited. I was like, but just why do we even expect things to always be
You
rosy? Like, that's a silly expectation to me for the people who do. You know what I'm saying?
because we're our generation. specifically starting with Gen X people who were born, I think the time cutoff is 1967. We are unaccustomed to seeing married couples. What we're more accustomed to seeing are people who shack up, have kids, and when it doesn't work, they move on. And that has been made easier by no fault divorce. No fault divorce has made getting divorced easier than it is getting married. And because we have no fault divorce,
I mean,
coupled with
yeah,
the fact
no
that
fault
we as
divorce,
a
which
demographic,
because no
and this
fault
goes,
divorce is just that. I'm sorry,
yes.
it's a little bit of a
So,
lag,
and it
but yeah,
reminds
no
me,
fault divorce is
and I
just
still
that.
have,
So I agree with you.
so now that we have no fault divorce, coupled with the fact that we don't want to work hard in a relationship, when we see something like this, we say, oh my gosh, how could they remain together? Because they're looking at the bigger picture. They're looking at what it is that they can gain from each other, even though their marriage isn't what it once was. And it reminds me of the song that he said, of the lyrics in the song. He did, I think it was a remake, just the two of us, and he says, if push comes to shove, you were conceived in love. That let me know then that there may have been a possibility that his marriage to Jada was going to dissolve. And
It
no
was a
matter
problem.
what, that he wanted his kids, he wanted his kids to know that you were the result of two people who were in love with each other, and they were committed to seeing that you were reared in a
Absolutely.
home with love. And we don't see that too often.
So let me read
Nowadays,
some of the
all we
comments.
see is
Let me
dysfunction.
read some of the comments that we had. So, my darling Daphne says they think relationships are like microwaves, and it's not. And I know she's probably talking about just, this generation. Um, and then Marcia said, open marriage only works when there are two mature people who can handle it. It's not for everyone. And then Daphne came back and she said, well, some of us don't have the skills to keep a marriage. The expectations are falsified through media. And divorce is like a death of many things. And a marriage has stages and seasons and requires great communication skills, understanding, love, and empathy. You know what? And I agree with that, but I'm just going to take it a step further. Here's what marriage requires, and just any relationship. We're talking about marriage because we're talking about Will and Jada, just any relationship, because it takes commitment. And the one thing that they said in that, when Will was talking, and Will said this, one of the things that he loved about their relationship is the freedom to be able to make a mistake and know that
Yes,
making a mistake is not going to cost you your family, because they've talked about that it is them no matter what. Now we got to understand, they not miserable in their marriage. Like, they happy as clams, you know what I'm saying? They go through ups and downs the way that any marriage does. But when I love, like I said, I love the way that they're very candid. And what Daphne said, we don't have the skills. We don't have the stick to itiveness. We are all very sensitive nowadays. You know what I'm saying? And our commitment doesn't last
mm-hmm.
longer than the feeling that we set it in. And so, a prime example, I'm having a tiff with somebody, that I love. Now, for me, us having a tiff or us having a disagreement doesn't mean that, oh my God, the relationship is in trouble. But see, that's what it means for most people. Most people don't know how to just have a disagreement in their relationship, and let's just solve the problem. People want to put their whole relationship on the head of the pin of the outcome of that argument. And to me, that's what I mean when I say people don't have stick to itiveness. We ready to go at the drop of a hat. We're not, instead of trying to work it out. Will and Jada have made a commitment that nothing breaks up this family. So hey, and she said in another interview, you do nothing that you can't, like it. Listen, it's all coming to the house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we had these kids invest, and they love each other. This
Yes.
isn't this isn't no, they staying together because they ain't got no other choices. And no, they've made their choice. A lot of you make your choice based on the feelings in the moment. And as soon as that person pisses you off, or you know what I'm saying? Because we joke with the scenarios and stuff that we put up and stuff, but like in real life, like if your commitment don't last no longer than your good feeling after your nut, then you know the relationship is doomed from the start. You know, it's doomed from the start.
It's funny you say that because I was watching a podcast and I can't remember who it was, and the individual said it's a shame that the pregnancies nowadays last longer than relationships, and that's exactly what you're referencing. Far too often, it's easier for us to just run, whereas when you're committed to something, whether it's a cause or an event or a result, you put that energy, that time, and that effort into seeing that to fruition. And a lot of people don't want to do that nowadays. It's, you know what? Let's just throw it all out and let's go start over again. And to what Daphne said about divorce being an end, what people don't realize about relationships is this, and maybe they do. Maybe it's just me saying that people don't, and I'm speaking a little out of
You
pocket,
get
so to
you get
speak.
a little out of pocket. You get a little, you little
The end of a relationship, they say, is akin to death because it really is the dissolution of two people to coming together. And I think that's why a lot of people find it easier to just deal with the hookup culture or the Netflix and chill. Now, me personally, I don't get down like that. That's
you
not
don't
my
get down
MO.
with
Never.
that. You don't Netflix and chill.
Yeah, the whole hookup culture. That's just not my MO. If I'm going to deal with a female, there has to be something there that I can work with and build on, even if we're not seeing each other that consistently. And when I say that consistently, I'm talking about 2 or 3 days a week. If we're only seeing each other once a week because of our schedules, that's something I can live with because we have something outside of just what exists in the bedroom. We might get together. We might go to the drive-in movies. We might go for a walk in the park. We might go get a meal or something. And I think this is what people need to understand in terms of trying to build a relationship, which bleeds into the next talking point is dating in the 21st century. Now, I've never been on a dating app. I've never been on Tinder. I've never been on Bumble.
Oh, I'm
I don't
great
know
at
how
it. Like
any
I'm
of
an
those
expert
things.
at it. I wrote a book about it and everything. I'm great at it. I love. I listen. I love it. I'm a social freaking butterfly, yo. Like I'm coming from being a really shy girl, that had no clue how to talk to the opposite sex, to the goddess you see now. So I thoroughly enjoy my own evolution. And so, because I know what's on the other side of just, not dating, and not kind of growing with the times. You know what I'm saying? And so at this point, I love the dating apps. Now, when I first got on them, I would admit, listen, they was coming like they like vultures. Like the dudes is like they like vultures. And I wasn't prepared for that. Like I was not prepared. And so, but nerd that I am, and the picker upper of patterns that I am, I learned very quickly, okay, how to be successful. Let's be successful at this. So you know what I don't understand? I don't understand how one can be catfished. I don't understand because I don't get that show. I love watching it, but I don't get it because these people are in these relationships online for years with somebody that they've never met. They ain't did no video. They the only people on the planet, yo, who can't connect some video. Like I half of the success on dating apps is just some fucking common sense, yo. Like it's just some common sense. Like, how do you love somebody that you've never met? How does that happen? Like, you are, your standards of love are just they're ridiculously low, boo. They're ridiculously low if you're falling in love with somebody over the internet that you've never seen before. Like, sweetie, like, you need help. You need help. Like, you need help. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't get it.
No, I agree. But the reason why I'm laughing is because maybe a little over a month ago, somebody actually tried to catfish me.
But,
And
but like, that's such an easy thing. You don't need Neve to come and do all this sleuthing. Listen to me. Listen to me. We all know it. I'm about to say something that we all have always known. Women are
you're breaking up.
investigative reporters. Women are investigative reporters. We will snoop out the facts of whatever it is that we want to find out. You think that you're hiding something from us? You think we don't know about that extra cash that you got stashed somewhere? Women will find out. So, knowing that fact, put a little pin, boop, in that fact, please make me understand how these chicks don't know how to put in a search in Google to find out if the rock star that's talking to you is really the rock star. This girl thought that she was talking to Rich Dollars. Why? Why would Rich Dollars be talking to you? Why would, like, what? I don't understand. Like, she like got Neve involved in all this stuff. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well,
I
Dave
don't get
asked a
it.
question. He says, "Do you believe that people can fall in love via the internet?"
Do I okay. I believe that you can meet someone on the internet and your relationship can grow and you all can fall in love. I do not, however, believe that you can have a relationship strictly on the internet, having never met this person organically, and y'all fall in love. I do not believe that that can happen. That's dumb. That's ridiculous. That's what I believe.
so,
It's ridiculous.
here's another question, that brings me to this: if individuals happen to meet via the internet and they're in different cities, let's say they're 600-700 miles apart, maybe in different states, what would lead these individuals to actually changing locations to potentially make the relationship grow?
I mean, that depends on, if you, so here's the deal. I'm an expert at long distance relationships. Listen, we spend enough time talking about why I'm single and how I move and all that stuff. And, I'm a Navy girl. I'm a veteran, of this wonderful fucking country. And so, I've gotten, I've said it before that you perfect what you practice. And for a very long time, it was easy for me to carry on relationships that were long distance because it had to be that way. So when if I meet somebody online and they're in another state, for me, that's not a deal breaker for me because, you never know what that connection is going to be. Now, for me, at this point, I'm pretty seasoned when it comes to that. So if somebody is too far away from me and they're like, it's like, listen, unless they let me know up front that, that's something that they would be willing to do, then, I don't really see the need for us to even, maybe they travel to where I'm at. A lot of times I'll get something like that. Like, they come area that I live in a lot. Maybe they live in another area that's really far away, but they have business or whatever where I'm at. So that would make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? If conversation, it's like, because I always want to know if somebody's in another state. One of my my first questions is, okay, well, I see that we're in completely different states. Like, what are you just looking for a chat? But look, I'm very direct because dudes are very direct. So I just take my page from them. Like, at this point, it's like, hey, I see that we're, really, really far away. And a lot of time, I mean, like, I have a pretty freaking dynamic profile. So, I mean, somebody will even say, hey, I'm in a different state, but your profile was great. Like, just wanted to reach out. That's a temperature check. But different things, being in a different locale to me is not a deal breaker. It just depends on what it is that you're looking for. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, different things would cause people to, have that conversation.
So, let me ask you this question then, being that I've only engaged in one long distance relationship myself, and had things actually worked out, her and I would probably be married. Truth be told, it was just at the point in time that I wasn't employed.
What? Somebody put a tie old Herb down. Get out of here. You done jumped a broom for somebody? Get out of here. Okay.
Jump,
Okay.
jump, but that's a different topic for another conversation. But here, for people,
I'm never jumping.
for people who are risk adverse, how do they actually overcome taking a chance on anything, whether it's relocating for another job, relocating for love, or relocating for anything?
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You ready for the answer?
Yes.
Like, grow some fucking balls. Like, oh, just do it. Listen. And that's nice that I could put it. Like, because so here's the deal. I think that it's pretty safe to say that, my daughter told me, remember I told you that, my daughter was 13, she said she wanted to be like me. And one of the reasons was she said, because I was fearless. I'm not afraid of anything. And I had to correct her. I'm afraid of things. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm coming from a shy girl who didn't know how to talk, who was invisible, who wasn't used to being seen and all of that stuff. And now things are different. And that evolution has had many facets to it. You know what I'm saying? So having to be this person for my daughter and having to let her know that, it's not necessarily all it's cracked up to be, and just, you know what I'm saying? It's a trip. It just is. It's a trip. It's a trip. It can be a trip. It just can. I lost my train of thought, but it can be a trip.
And I'm going to follow with what she said. Sometimes the unknown for whoever or whatever it is an opportunity to experience life. So often
That's
we
yes.
become
what I was saying.
Say it again, sir.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead. I caught my thought back. Go ahead.
Okay. So often we become scared of what could happen successfully, and we talk ourselves out of opportunities that potentially could come our way, like the blessings. We never know what blessings can come our way until we actually step out on some type of faith. And I'm not a religious person. I don't deal with the whole, substance of faith and this and that. But I am willing to take a chance where an opportunity presents itself. So often we have a lot of people that are just scared. There's, well, what if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't happen? And what if that don't happen? It reminds me of the Michael Jordan injury when he broke his foot, and they told him there was a 10% chance that he could re-injure his foot. And Mike said, well, there's a 90% chance that I can't. So let me go out here and ball.
Right. So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's what I like, and I remember why I went into this story about my daughter. I had to correct her and tell her that I'm afraid of everything, and that there's nothing wrong with being afraid. Fear, which is false evidence appearing real, okay, you out of trouble. Fear can keep you caught. But then there's a dangerous side to fear, and it's what you're talking about. It's that person that won't even try because they're so paralyzed by their fear. I had to correct my daughter and tell her I'm afraid of everything, but what I'm afraid of more so than all the other stuff is what if I don't try something? Because now I know my daughter's looking at me. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I couldn't afford to sit around waiting until the fear goes away. You're going to have to, so the way that you overcome it is to understand that the test of your courage is what you do in the moments of your fear. That's the test of your courage. That's how you build your courage, is you do it freaking scared. Because if you trying to wait till you're not scared anymore to move, you're never going to move. So you just have to make up your mind that the thing that you want on the other side of that fear is stronger than that fear. And you just have to do it scared. Just close your eyes and fucking do it. Like that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do to get over that hurdle. Is I'm always scared. I'm always scared to start a new business or to write a new book or to do anything. I'm always afraid, that it's not going to work, but I'm more so afraid of, well, what if it did work and I just didn't do my part? Because faith, no matter whether you believe in it, faith without work is dead. You can have all the faith you want to sitting in your bedroom doing nothing. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Faith, you have to have the faith to do the work before you see the result. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of that's how you get over, being afraid of a new relationship, being afraid of a new opportunity. Trust yourself that you're strong enough to get through it, even if it doesn't work. But what if it does and you didn't try? Like, so now you've just missed out on something because you're being a coward. And that goes back into being single by choice or because ain't nobody checking for you. If
Hmm.
you've been single for 10 years and you're still blaming the dude or the girl that did whatever, you're not single by choice. You're single because you're a coward, because you're afraid to step back out there. So do it scared. That's how you get over it. That's how you build your courage. That's how you build that muscle. So that's
And
where I
in
was going with
preparing for
that.
the show, I came across some really really cool quotes on observations and observing. And I'll read this one. It's funny. It's funny how in this journey of life, even though we may begin at different times and places, our paths cross with others so that we may share our love, compassion, observations, and hope. This is a design of God that I appreciate and cherish. And I think that's what we need to understand. There is a, when I do my intake for my mentoring program, I tell my mentees this. I said, understand where you live at. I said, you live an hour drive from a world class city in Toronto. You also live an hour flight from another world renowned city in New York City. I said, those places have a wealth of opportunity, culture, people.
Mhm.
I mean, there's just so much out there that we have to actually step out and embrace the world for what it can give us. But too often, it's like you said, people want to sit in their room and think about what it is, and they don't want to put any work behind that. So the thing about it is,
And
and
that's
me,
cool. There's some people that are content with that. But if you ever really, plan on getting anything done, you have to put some belief. I say, to me, the work is the belief behind the faith. You have to put some belief behind that faith. It's not enough for you to just say that you have faith that something to happen. You got to be willing to work for it, because take what the thing, life doesn't give you what you wish for, it gives you what you work for. So, and you have to have faith that that's true. So, that's just where I'm at with that fear thing. So what, you're scared, you know, so what?
all right,
Do you want is
let me jump in here real quick because we got the stimulus package tonight. It's a $40
oh
riddle,
goodness.
and if you can get it, we will cash app you. Or I will cash app you the $40. Now you do need to have cash app in order to get the award. You can guess the riddle, but if you don't have the cash app, I can't help you. Okay, this is the riddle. I'll read it slowly. I am all over your car and cookbooks. When I run it over, blessings are abound. What am I? I'll read it again.
Oh wow.
I am all over your car and cookbooks. When I run it over, Blessings are abound. What am I? And you can put that in the chat. You're not on live, so the only way you can actually guess is to put that in chat. Okay, Saria, I didn't mean to disrupt your speech, so go
Oh,
ahead
no,
and
no,
continue.
no, no. That's absolutely okay. I was looking at something that Marcia said, and she was talking about as far as location. She said, in order to take the risk of going to another location, we would have definitely had to spend ample time together. And she goes on to, and David asked, "What is ample time, Marcia?" And then Marcia goes on to say, it would truly depend on the length of time we've talked or been together. One thing I would be skeptical of if what if things truly don't work out, and that's a great possibility. And that's a good question. Let me address that. Marcia, that's where trusting yourself and knowing exactly who you are comes into play. Because, okay, fine, if it doesn't work out, there's still some lessons that you can learn from the experience. I'm gonna guess that the whole experience that you have with that person isn't just a waste of time. Just towards the end, when things are about to end, that's when things can get a little bit sketchy. But you still have some good memories that you're going to be able to take away from that. And you're going to, if you're doing it right, you're going to have some lessons that you've taken away, but you're not going to melt if something doesn't work out. What's going to happen if it doesn't work out is that you're going to move on, you're going to pick up, and you're going to go on with life. That's what's going to happen. People make it not working out into this big monster. Oh my God, what am I going to do if it doesn't work out? You're going to fucking keep on breathing. You're going to keep on moving. You're going to figure out what life is, on the other side of that experience. But you will have had the experience. That's my answer to, well, what if it doesn't work out? Because what if it
And
does? And you didn't give it a
another
chance
beautiful
because you.
segue. Go ahead, Saria. No, I was just saying there's another beautiful segue into how do we deal with the truth and do we value it? This is a great opportunity, you know, for people. She's lagging. Let's see if she comes back in. Yeah, okay, I'll jump in.
Are we okay?
This is a great opportunity. You were lagging for a bit. I wanted to see if you came back in so you could finish your thought, so I didn't interrupt you.
Oh, no, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is an excellent opportunity for us to ask our individual selves: do we value hearing the truth? Now we've been talking about relationships in the 21st century and how to deal with potentially a long distance relationship and stepping out on faith. And the reality of the situation is nobody ever knows if something's going to work out. And you have to embrace that reality. You have to embrace that truth that you can move across the country for a relationship and everything be going smoothly, and all of a sudden something happens to where that apple cart is upset. Now, do you behave like Will and Jada? Or do you behave like the petulant 13-year-old who doesn't get their way and throw temper tantrums? That's what
That's
the
going to be
mature
depending
aspect.
on your level of commitment.
Say that again,
I was
Saria.
saying that's going to be dependent on the level of that person's commitment. And I don't know if I can answer if people value hearing the truth more so, as I think that people really can't handle hearing the truth. I don't think that people
Okay.
really want to hear the truth past what's beneficial to them. If the
Correct.
truth is something that makes them in a negative light, that's when people come up with the don't judge me. I really hate when people say that, because you don't care if I'm judging you when the judgments are great. Because it's all judgments.
Mhm.
When I'm telling you how wonderful you are and how great you are, that's the judgment I'm passing on you. And so when a person says don't judge me, for me, then you just want me to shut the hell up, because that means that I can't say nothing good or bad, because you're not going to ask my opinion about it and then tell me not to judge you. That makes no sense to me. That's what people say when they don't want what you say to paint them in a negative light. And usually that comes at the end of the dumbest bullshit that they could be doing. But, tell me what you think about it, but don't judge me. Okay. So, that's why it's just ridiculous. I think that people say that they want the truth, but come on, time and time again, it's been proven that, like I said, if the truth doesn't benefit you, 9 times out of 10, you don't want to hear it. It takes a strong person. Like I said, I'm having a tiff with somebody that I care about very much, that I love. We said some very truthful things to one another. And so now we're in that period where, okay, now I have to get over my angst at what was said, at how it was said, stuff that we with to be upset with one another about. Because if you're really, this is why I don't like arguing, because arguing, there's no solution to the problem. I like discussing, and because I'm a solutionist. And if we have an issue, I want to
Yes.
get to the resolution of the issue.
Yeah.
And most people want to argue, it becomes who can one up the other, who can prove who is right and who is wrong, who can win the argument and who can be the loser. So for me, I don't want to be looking at my man. If I win the argument, have I really won? Because now I've set my man up as a loser. And that's a subliminal thing. You know what I'm saying? Or if he wins the argument, he set me up subliminally as a loser. That can start to chip away at the foundation of your relationship. So I don't argue. And so I found myself in a position, we found ourselves raising our voices at one another, which is something we don't do. So we had to step back. And so I was like, okay, we need to step back. And so now that a couple of days have gone by, I can now, when I replay that conversation, I'm not living in the memory, i.e., I'm not visiting how angry I was when he said this and when I said that, you know what I'm saying? I'm not living in the memory, but now I'm accessing the moment. I'm just going back and replaying that conversation in my mind without the emotions so that I can actually hear what that person was trying to say to me. Because just like my issues and complaints and shit are valid and important and I want them to hear them, I owe that same respect if I want it back. So that's where we are now. And so with most people not willing to do that, it's just, you need to hear me, you need to hear me, you need to hear me. And, and that's true. But people don't want to take a step back and take those emotions out so that they can just hear the truth of what's being said. If somebody is coming to you with a complaint about what you're doing or what you're not doing, instead of just getting offended that they had the nerve to come and tell you, that you wasn't perfect, to listen to what they're saying. Because then you're going to be the same one talking about what he or she didn't have a reason to cheat. Well, I beg to differ. They tried to come to you about an issue. They can't get no airtime from you. They can't get no, and I'm talking to men and to women. So for me, it's can you handle the truth? Can you handle other people's truth the way that you want people to handle your truth? That's something that I ask myself before I speak to people, am I prepared to handle their truth in the way that I want them to handle my truth? And for most people, the answer is no. Like, they really can't. They can't take the truth.
And
Tell them
and
they
you
care is
that I will that
like,
I came up with a quote. Well, let me not say I came up with a quote. I found the quote, and it says, "If you want to speak like the gods, your ears must be as open as the sky." And I think far too often we don't sit back and, to what you said, and genuflect on what it was that we engaged in prior, so we can get a better understanding of what was actually trying to be communicated. And I think when we sit back and we reflect and genuflect on some things, it gives us a clearer perspective into what was trying to be communicated. So something that started out, like you said, as a little tip, doesn't morph into a mushroom cloud. It has the potential to destroy a relationship. And I think that's a great, this goes back to what we were talking about with Will and Jada. They kept everything in house, from what I understand of the situation. They didn't involve their friends. They didn't involve of the family members. And it's like we were told as kids, what happens in this house stays in this house. And that's one of the ways that you actually commit to each other, is you go to each other with the problems that you have first. before you say anything to anyone else. And I think that allows for growth and a greater understanding with the person that you committed your time and resources to, so y'all can grow and evolve past certain situations.
So, and yes, I agree with that. So here's the thing. So here's what some people may not know. I'm a polyamorous woman that that is a career singleist that raised a daughter who married her high school sweetheart. Now, I have me and this boy's family. I've known this boy. This boy been coming around on my porch since he was 15, 16 years old. Okay. And so I have seen all the epic breakups when they were kids, how it usually goes. We get mad at each other, we break up, we erasing each other off of Facebook. Like it's always epic in high school, like all these epic breakups. And a lot of you are really trying to relive your high school days with this ridiculousness that you carry on in your relationships. It's just like a high school relationship. But anywho, once he started talking about her having babies and moving in together, I had to pump the brakes on that. And I said, well, so here's the deal, darling. That doesn't happen without there being a marriage. So skip forward, they get married. So they get into a tiff. And my daughter calls me crying. Mom, I think it's over. I'm like, you think it's over? Like, I've been married a month. You think it's over? I think I did that. I messed up. Like I did something that was stupid and I messed up and quiet. And he said he's sending me home. Right. And so he he said he's sending me home. So I let her cry, okay, because now I have to be mom. Let her get her cry out. I said, are you finished? She said, yeah. I said, okay. I said, so here's the first thing I want to ask you. I said, for you, is your marriage finished? You want to fix it or you want to finish it? And she said, well, I want to fix it. But he said, I asked you about what he said. Do you want to fix it or do you want to finish it? I want to fix it. Okay. I said, so here's what I'm going to tell you, sweetie. I said, remember when you told me that I was trying to stop your fun by saying that you couldn't just move cross state lines before this boy? This would be the situation why. I said, and so let me tell you how we're going to keep your fun going. I said, he can't send you home, sweetie, because you are home. You're his wife.
Right.
You are home.
Right.
So that's the first. He sends you anywhere. You are home. I said, now, it's big of you to admit that you fucked up. I said, but here's what I'm going to tell you, and it's what I'm going to tell him, and it's what I'm going to share with. I told these two people. Once you decide that you're going to do the grown-up thing of getting married and involve somebody in your life until death do us part, because you're going to say those words, till death do us part. Divorce as an option has to be taken off the table. And the reason that it be taken off the table is exactly what Will and Jada said, is because they're still going to make mistakes. People are imperfect, every last one of us, including you. And we're going to make mistakes. And if you agreeing that this is going to be your guinea pig for life, that you're going to go and make these mistakes with, then they shouldn't, and neither should you have to worry about your whole livelihood going up in smoke because you made a mistake and because you had a moment where you needed to grow. Now, there are some things that I believe that, some of you, stuff like that, things that are putting you in mortal danger. But forgiveness is a part of that, because, people are going to fall short. And I told, her husband, I said she should be able to come to say what she wants to say without fear of you're going to want a divorce. You should be able to come to my daughter and say what it is you need to say. If you're displeased about something, if something's not going your way, should be able to come and do that with this person that you've promised to love unconditionally until death do us part. That's the one person that you should be able to say what you need to say, and you're not going to lose everything. But a lot of you are sensitive, and you don't, like I said, you don't want to hear anything other than, that you're somebody's moon and stars and shit. And like, quite honestly, we're not all the time. We just aren't. There's going to come times where you're going to want to strangle the person that you love the most. I feel like if you haven't wanted to strangle your dude or your chick, you don't really love them, because there is nobody that can get up under your skin like someone that you love. Like, strangers can do the exact same thing to you that someone you loved, you know what I'm saying? Like, but knowing that those days are gonna come just seems like the smart thing to do. And it seems like most people get so caught up in the movies and the fairy tales and shit. You think somebody is going to be making you happy every day for the rest of your life. You know whose job it is to make you happy every day for the rest of your life? Yours. And you're going to fail at it. So like, how dare you require somebody else to do it? You're going to fail at making you happy every day. You. But you have the audacity to try to require someone else to make you happy. Like, it's ridiculous. It's unrealistic. And I applaud Will and Jada, and I love it because they've given one another that freedom. Now, that doesn't mean just go off all willy-nilly and just do whatever the hell you want to. You know what I mean? Of course, it doesn't mean that, but it does mean that if a slip up happens or something happens, that, yeah, we're gonna be mad about it, we're gonna fight about it. It doesn't mean we don't fight. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't mean we don't get upset. Doesn't mean that we don't go through whatever it is we have to go through. But at the end of the day, our family's not in jeopardy. Yeah, I'm gonna be mad. I might throw some shit. I might. And I'm a pretty good aim. So, stick and move.
and I
you know,
and I
but I ain't leaving. You know what I'm saying? I'm leaving.
and I think we as especially at our demographic in terms of our age. And I mean, let's face it, I'll be 50 next year. I'm 48 now, 49 birthdays this year. I'll be 50, and I'm okay with it. But I do have an eye on the future, and like I've said in previous shows, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and one of the gentlemen that I listen to, which I still have to send you the link for if I can find the show, is Kevin Samuels. And what he's been discussing lately is, what are we going to do when we get into our elder years and there's nobody there to help us? Are we willing to die alone? Are we
But
willing
why would
to?
there be nobody there to help us though? What's the premise? Why would there
Because
be nobody there to help us?
because as a people, we are only 26% of us are married. That's men and women combined. So that means that a lot of us are going to live into our 50s and 60s alone unless we somehow come up with a plan to cohabitate with a friend or a female just as a housemate or male or whatever the case
But I mean,
your
it
situation.
doesn't necessarily. So here's the thing. To me, just because somebody isn't married doesn't mean they're going to die alone. There are a lot of couples that are. For me, it's a
Sure.
really white thing. To me, single, not married. And so there are a lot of, just because you're not married doesn't mean that there's not that is significant to you, that's served as a life partner or whatever it is. So I think that sometimes we can kind of pigeonhole ourselves into thinking, oh, you're going to die alone if you don't get married. And that's just not true. It's just not a true, not true. It doesn't have to be true. That's what I say. It doesn't have to be true. Some of you, I said, that those of you that's getting back that ain't been, touched in 10 years. Now, y'all, I think he talking to y'all. Maybe talking to y'all. You want to know what y'all gonna do, because it
He,
takes 6 more
he,
folks to carry your casket.
he was speaking mainly to women in terms of, because what he was doing was the show was about women who were seeking a high value man, and it doesn't necessarily have to be high value men. I mean, this could be men earning between $30,000 and $70,000 a year. You know, are women willing
Mm-hmm.
to date and marry that type of man where they would actually have to work to contribute to the household expenses? And like I said, because he deals with an upper echelon type of guy, he was more focusing on those. But as things go, anything that happens with the wealthy always filters back down to the people who are below them because they tend to set the trends. Just like a lot of people, a lot of men are saying, you see this, you see what happened with Will and Jada. That's why I won't get married. Now, if they happen to divorce, he's going to lose this. He's going to lose this. And Kevin
That's
always talks
stupid.
about
Will
this.
and Jada are still married.
Yeah,
On
but
the
people,
thing, but Will and Jada are still married. Will and Jada are happy. So anybody that's using that, and remember, I told you that the way that you can figure if somebody is single by choice or because nobody's really checking for them is because Bill seeks blame. Now you want to use a successful couple as the reason that you're not married. That makes no sense. So, because how about this? That can happen to a couple that isn't married. That can happen to anybody that is that I watch Judge Judy and Judge Mathis and all that every day. And there's always some people in there that was on a break and some other people that got up involved in the situation. So
yes,
this is not a situation. They're just showing you how they're showing you a new way to deal with that situation. Most people in that situation, they're going to deal in an irrational way, maybe throwing away the whole relationship. There's probably going to be some type of violence, just all kind of irrational stuff. This is a new way to handle the same situation that's been coming up. Something else they did that was new in the way that they raised their children all together with having, his first son very, very integrated into, being raised with Willow and Jaden. Those adults had to all get along. There was a situation, the same thing with me and my children's father. We had the same dynamic. Me and my kid's father were no longer together. A new person has come onto the scene and we still have these kids together. And so I didn't want to do what everybody else did and what everybody else in that era was doing. You didn't dare get along with the baby mama or the new girlfriend of the baby daddy. You didn't dare do that. But in my mind, because I'm a nerd and because I love my damn kids and because I didn't want to create a chaotic, and I remember how I was raised and the environment I came from, I created another reaction to that same situation, and we got along and we raised those kids. Will and Jada showed us another reaction to a situation that happens all over the world every day. Somebody on this thing right now, your man or your woman is out cheating right now, like it's happening right now. It's nothing. They just showed us a different way to deal with that. And then how about this? They even went into why. They talked about the fact that she was damaged. She was like, I was very damaged, looking for just all kind of, you know what I'm saying? And I believe that why matters. A lot of people are very, very content to just sit in the hurt of the cheating and not really tackle what that cheating represents. Because, hey, listen, it's real possible. It's real possible that you got a perfect relationship and your mate is just an asshole that woke up this morning from his or her peaceful sleep out of y'all perfect relationship and just said, I feel like shaking things up a bit with a little cheating. It's very possible, but
mm-hmm.
it's more probable that your relationship, there's some unresolved issues, existing issues in the relationship, and the cheating is a result of that. And though the cheating presents another problem, it is not the problem in the relationship. But most people that are tackling those deeper problems, they'll jump right on that cheating. Oh, that's it. He cheated. And so now all bets are off and it's over. And that's what'll get the blame for the end of that relationship. And they're going to take
Yeah,
that baggage right into the next relationship. Or they're going to sit on the bench for 10 years because somebody cheated 10 years ago. You know why? Because they know that they didn't deal with that issue. They haven't done with those
and
issues.
and I think that's vitally important. I think we don't give our, or at least people don't give themselves enough time to purge any ill will and feelings that they have from a prior relationship. That's why when I hear some people say, I'm not ready to date, hey, I say, hey, you know what? I understand. Take your time. Process all that evil, all that negative energy, all of that, and get it out because that's the
Do you
ultimate.
know? Do
Trying.
you know that there are some people that will accuse you of being selfish if you say you need some time? I had a dude tell me that I was selfish. Oh, he told me, he gave me a long speech about why I was selfish. He wanted to take me out. And I mean, I had heard, listen to me, I had got out of one of those doozies, okay? We've all had that doozy. Like it was, I earned some of my woman stripes on this dude, okay? Like many lessons. Remember, many lessons with this person, and I was just coming out of that. And this guy, I was in the military. I told you, like vultures in the military, and this person came to me, and I was very honest with him. I said, "Listen," I said, "I'm just getting out of something, and I just really need to take. I'm flattered. Thank you for asking me out, but right now it's going to have to be a no because I need to take care of myself." Dude got like, no, dude was like, that's the most selfish thing I've ever heard. I said, that was really someone telling you that they're still kind of damaged and kind of raw from something, and it was. And so yeah, that's been my experience, and that goes right back to, do you can you handle the truth? He didn't want to hear anything about the truth unless the truth benefited him in that moment. I told him the truth, and he didn't want nothing to do with that because it didn't. It called me selfish. Called me selfish because I like. So yeah, and it's so easy to slip into it. Sometimes you gotta check yourself. See if you like that. See if you one of those people that say you want the truth, but then when somebody tells you the truth, you overread. You in your feelings. You pissed. You like, because one or two things gonna happen. One or two things gonna happen. Either people gonna stop talking to you, period, or they're just gonna start lying to you so that they don't have to hear your mouth. Like
Correct.
overly sensitive people that can't really take the truth. They can't, like, you set yourself up. So if you're one of those people that people always seem to be lying to you, sweetie, check how you receive, you know, how you receive information. Like, so
All
so
right.
let
We
me
are
say.
the top of the hour. Do you want to have any last statements that you wish to give before we close up out of here and move on?
I think that it's just important, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. I think that in relationships, it's important for you to check yourself much more than you try to check the other person, because at the end of the day, you're the only person that you can control. You know what I'm saying? People are there for the same reason that you're there.
Yeah.
You're there because you want to be with this other person, because you want to be as well. So you make people do things that most time y'all can't even make yourself do the right thing. So if you spend more time checking yourself, your reactions and your thought processes, you do trying to change somebody else's, then you're going to get, like, your relationship is just going to get exponentially better just from that practice. And just it's going to help you just be a better person for you. I check myself more than I check other people. If I get to the point where I got to check somebody else, that means that I done did all the checks and balances of myself, and I'm hard on myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I tend to think that I can turn a situation, a negative situation, back into a positive situation, because that's always my want, is to be positive. So I'm harder on myself than I am on anyone else. And I suggest that you do the same. Be harder on yourself than you are on other people. Like, and watch how shit turns around.
All right. I have two quotes that I'm going to leave everybody with tonight before we depart. One is, observing is the basis of wisdom. That's by Elder Geraldo Bavonic. And the other is, to acquire knowledge, one must study. But to acquire wisdom, one must observe. And that is from a Maryland Vaughn Savant. We thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Saria, for sitting in for David. I hope you get your issues resolved there, Mr.
Absolutely.
Glover. Like, share the stream, and we will see you all next time. Godspeed.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.